welcome out to a very, very special episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. This time, we're not trekking. Well, we are, but we always are. But it's a special episode where we look at Season 4, Episode 1 of Black Mirror, USS Callister. At this point, you've already watched it, so you realize it's got some Star Trek elements. We deep dive into those in a very short, special episode. Give it a listen here on It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome to a special episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. Special! We've done these occasionally. Today we're here to talk about the episode of Black Mirror, the Season 4 premiere, entitled USS Callister. Which we're talking about because it started off very Star Trek-y.
Yes.
With Jesse Plemons essentially playing Kirk down to the stilted dialogue.
That was so perfect for me. I mean, just like throughout the episode when he was doing those scenes, just I think probably the best Kirk voice I've ever heard because it wasn't too exaggerated.
Yeah.
You knew what he was doing. It just sounded like him. You knew what he was doing, but it wasn't too.
And the uniforms were very reminiscent. The technology was reminiscent. Of course, the women were just scantily.
Of course.
But it was a little sanitized because Star Trek there was. I mean, not that there was sex in Star Trek, but it was hinted at, whereas this one, they're like, we don't even have genitals.
Yeah, which I guess where it played into the main character, Daly's...
Robert Daly.
The view that the show was wholesome or whatever.
Yes.
Which makes me think Space Fleet, which was the Star Trek in this, was... Maybe it was more chaste than Star Trek.
I would. That's what I was led to believe as well. It's we're supposed to go, oh, this is just Star Trek, but it's not still the exact same thing. It could be lots of little variations.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Poor knockoffs.
But it was more disturbing than Star Trek.
In what way?
Well, Keith, I don't mean to offend you, but I personally believe it's wrong to subjugate people against their will.
Okay, well, actually, I just watched it again today for the second time, and it's an interesting thing because the character, if you think about it, it becomes an issue of what do you consider to be real sentient life that can feel pain, and and the people that were being cloned in this, in essence,
they were sentient.
Well, I mean, but the sources would have no idea that this had happened.
Right.
This wouldn't affect their daily lives in any way.
True.
These are people that, well, at least one or maybe only really one of them really wronged him to the extent that this would be some sort of...
The one played by Jimmy Simpson?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't... The word
It was the Spock-esque character.
Yeah.
Sort of.
The word justifiable seems wrong. But, I mean, there's some punishment. You can understand that he would want to take some of his frustrations out on this person.
Right. And I think early on, before we really realized what's going on, it's like, well, I mean, I think you get an idea. As soon as you see Jimmy Simpson in the real world, you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
So a harmless fantasy, you would think.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought initially. And while it was slightly creepy for him to copy his coworkers' looks, I was still willing to... honestly, that's where I thought the conflict was going at first. Is the the new employee would find out that he copied her looks in the computer, and of course, then there's some tension between them.
Well, initially, I thought it was just him imagining it, and so he's putting those people in there.
Oh, okay.
And then at some point, and then I thought it was just be more of a simple, he could act out his fantasies here.
Sure.
And then in the real world, he's unable to.
Right.
But then his fantasies were quite dark.
One of the things my wife Marianne caught right away that when she was watching it that I missed the first time was when he first walked into work, off the elevator. There's a screen in the background that's actually talking about infinity and there's a simulator, an immersive experience. So
which looked more like the new Star Trek movies than his old. Yeah.
So it's actually very much like the Oasis in Ready Player One that they were describing. And so, like, right off, just those little blurbs, you go, oh, that must be what that is, instead of just him dreaming. But still, you wouldn't leap to the conclusion that it was something that could... These are things that could feel in any way.
Right.
Did anyone else think that the crew, before Nanette Cole came along, Krista Milotti, played along just a little too well? I know he threatened them.
Right.
But when I found out,
you're right.
I feel like they were a little too enthusiastic to play along.
It could be that if they've been broken down for that long, that they would be so bored that they would want to.
We don't know how long.
Play a game like that.
That's also the element that made me think of the Twilight Zone episode, which I should know the name of, but where Billy Mumi plays the boy who runs everything and banishes people to the cornfield. And if you remember in that episode, all the the townspeople are like, everything you want sounds great. Yeah, I'll
that's
do
true.
that.
That is also
And
true.
then finally, the one guy gets drunk and ruins everything. Which it was a similar line in this episode. That it was because once she shows up, she's like, I'm not doing any of this stuff.
Yeah.
And they were all like, oh, you probably have too, but.
Well, I mean, she was much more technical than the others, except for for the
you're right.
For the other coder that happened to be there, so she had a different mindset, and for that first introduction, they were saying similar things like, "Well, we were like this too at first. She'll get this worked out of her. They'll be fine."
I wonder if the episode went, if there's a way just alternate universing like they always do, but. So what if he had this game and he treats everyone there great, and they're not stuck there and they can do anything they want? But I guess
if they're not stuck there, how does he get them to stay?
I was going to say, I guess that's his same problem.
Because when they come in, they're going to have the same relationship they had to him in the real world.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, he's got the same problem
yeah.
he's already got in the real. He's got in the real world, which is nobody wants to hang out with him. So you're right. He just ended up eating pizza on the bridge by himself.
I didn't think the ending.
And then creating another game within the game.
Right.
I thought the ending was very interesting where now Kristen Milioti's the captain and they're going to just go off and explore this whole world. It was kind of hopeful. It was kind of a different tone than the rest of the episode.
I thought the ship that came in was going to blast them and that was going to be the end.
Well, and I knew that was Aaron Paul's voice.
I didn't, but
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure.
I immediately jumped on IMDb because I'm like, that's Aaron Paul, and sure enough it was.
All right.
Great cameo by Aaron Paul.
I didn't know it was him, but I saw it there. I'm like, hey, okay.
The bad guy in his scenario, which was also the coworker, a little less obvious, I thought. The one he tripped over the gym bag.
I thought maybe that's what it was.
He looked like Han at first. They even had him like in the ruined ship and the hair.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I mean, obviously, then they played it out and it wasn't Khan.
Right, but I had the same thought.
It looked like Khan.
Looked like Wrath of Khan after
that is funny.
Been burned.
Yeah.
So, getting back to the thing about them playing along a little too well.
Yeah.
That is, they did seem remarkably talented for... I guess they wouldn't really have anything else to do but think about how to play along with what he's doing, but at the same time, they were pretty good at improv. As far as some of those scenarios, the way they would come up,
Well, I liked how they talked to the girl in marketing that was a monster.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, it's just like actors, like we're on break, have a little chat, whatever, or we're back into it, and just they knew where to go with whatever he was like. They could sense what he wanted from them in those situations.
Practice.
Yeah.
It was interesting. He took all the care of building the scenario with such detail, but every station on the bridge just hit any button to make it work.
Right.
Well, it's almost that's like the Galaxy Quest thing.
Yeah.
That's as much as you need to reproduce to be able to go. They're
Galaxy Quest, they studied the way they hit the buttons when they.
That's true. That's true. That's
you're
true.
right, because at one point he's like, I admire the detail in here, and then you're right. But
just like hit any button.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, that is the beginner version of whatever, the novice or whatever.
As talented as he was, I just believe he would have done a little more.
I'll give you that, yeah. Christina, what's her name? Miliotti?
Kristen Miliotti, I think.
Yes, just brilliant in this. Just every expression through that.
Yeah,
she's my woman of this episode.
I would say my favorite.
I call her.
That's right.
I mean, blue skin girl was pretty hot too.
Yeah.
And then there was the girl that looked like Uhura. She was pretty hot.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there were lots of choices, but I picked Nanette Cole.
Well, my favorite part of that episode was when they came back from the first the game pause, and just she's realizing, okay, I have to get into character 2, and she puts her hands up in that little karate pose and just like looks at her hands like, what am I doing? Is this okay? I guess I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
For
ever.
Just that idea of like, what do you do if you have to play along with this this scenario? Like, no training of what Yeah.
Certainly made me think about artificial intelligence. Made me think about where technology is going.
Yeah.
Right.
It's disturbing on a number of levels. And, I mean, the idea of being trapped somewhere, and again, I keep referencing that Twilight Zone episode, but it's the same kind of thing where he would send him to cornfield, which I think, or he would turn them into freaks or whatever he would do. It was a similar thing, which Daly does to our girl when she shows up. Where he's got her faceless, whatever. And Twilight Zone didn't quite do the same thing, but it did a similar thing.
There was a Star Trek episode where they made the face go away.
Yeah. So,
I wanted to know what happened to Jimmy Simpson Walton at the end. I mean, I know he burned up in the thing, but they said he was still alive.
Oh, right.
But then when everything reset, he never came up to the bridge to join them. Just the people that were in the jail cell did.
Maybe let him die as he normally would in that. I mean, because everyone else was intact, but he would have been this burnt thing.
I wanted a little resolution there. I just wanted to know what happened to him one way or the other. Was he still suffering? Because I thought maybe he was still suffering, but.
Well, did they say they couldn't delete anything? But did they find a way to? Did he find a way to delete himself?
I don't. It didn't seem like they found a way to delete him.
Okay.
They implied at first that they thought was going to happen when they hit the wormhole was that everything was going to be deleted, like what was happening to Daly back in his little bubble universe.
I like that he kind of got his comeuppance. That it basically implied he died in that chair, stuck in the game and not able to get out of it.
Perhaps
that was my thing.
He would have starved to death over the next few days.
Okay.
Weeks.
Because no one would come visit him.
That's what I was thinking.
Nobody could get in.
Right. Yeah, I feel like they still should have had the real Nanette just call the police. When they blackmailed her into breaking it, why couldn't they just blackmail her into calling the police?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an easier blackmail.
Well, the other thing is, would she have understood what she was doing? Well,
she would have to understand it. They're blackmailing her. They can get her to do whatever they want.
What I'm saying, all right, a couple things. So the police would get there. They wouldn't understand what the technology was. There's just some random items in the fridge. This doesn't mean anything. This is just a game he's playing.
But I think she could have explained it because she would have understood.
But she didn't understand.
I think she would have if she had a chance to look at it. I think they could have. And the police they were asking her to call were the technology police or whatever. They were specific
cyber police.
Cyber police,
right.
Yeah. So I feel like they would have figured it out.
God, I still don't know if that would have been technically illegal though. This is something that
I don't know. Do they have rights for those?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a program on his computer. What would they understand about that? It's not harming anything else outside of that.
I mean, I did appreciate the first time they called Nanette. She's just like hung up and thought it was a joke.
Yeah, why would you? And so
didn't know how to deal with it.
So she's got these items and she leaves, and so is she ever going to understand what happened? I wondered about that too, as far as wrapping.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was pretty solid, though.
Yes.
No, I liked it a lot.
Where are you going to rank it?
But I would say, to make clear, nothing about what I'm saying impact my enjoyment of this at all. It's just, it would be nice to know some of these things, but I really loved it. So.
Yeah. A lot of loose ends. I mean, the kind of loose ends that are cool loose ends where you figure it out.
They really build it as we're going to do a take on Star Trek, and then they did it, which I also kind of like.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we're talking about it, because of the Star Trek connections.
It had enough of a...
But it also, it didn't follow through on... That's not what it was about, which is interesting.
It's the first entire episode I've watched. Colleen binge-watched season 4 that day, I think. So
I
saw bits and pieces of the others.
More, yeah.
So
it was like, do you want to watch this one? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
Had she seen any of the others?
Yeah.
Before, like, so the other seasons?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
see, we should have had Colleen here tonight.
Of course, she would have had little to say about this episode. No, actually, I take it back. She did. She had some stuff, so she thought it was cool.
Just for as an actress, or just I would say that from that standpoint that would make a great, I guess, teaching technique of that immersion of being forced to just, if you don't play along and learn how to do this, get better, you're just turn into a monster or whatever.
Yeah. And that's what happens to a lot of actors.
Well, I mean, the way that it reminded me of, again, my wife Marianne is because she does a lot of RPG role-playing stuff like that. And the idea of being stuck in a game where you don't want to play it. It's like you get to a point where like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore.
Sure.
No choice. Dungeon Master says you are locked in this room and this is your life now.
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
I don't know. That's why Walton just got drunk all the time. I like how the ship was super wholesome, but there was a bar on the bridge.
It's almost like you imagine this is his idea of benevolence to recreate this. You guys can do whatever you want at your time, but when I'm here, you are mine. You do what I say. Except you don't have any genitals or any way to do anything else after that.
Female, you have to kiss me at the end of every mission.
That too.
Speaking of genitals, I love the look that the helmsman and the Uhura give each other at the very end when they get restored.
Yes.
Michaela Cole. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't
Packer.
They don't say anything. They just talk about it happening. They look at each other for a second, and while somebody else is essentially saying, "Oh, we can do whatever we want," kind of thing. They look at each other like, yeah, this is happening.
Yeah.
They don't even have to say it. It was
I mean, I think that was the best part of the happy ending is they got their genitals.
Yeah, they did also imply that. I mean, I guess there should be some sort of pleasure because there was the pain of the suffering of not being able to breathe and so forth.
What I would worry about, though, is in a video game, how often does your ship get destroyed? How often?
Right.
And now if their ship gets destroyed, they're screwed.
Stakes.
Because I feel like the safety's been taken off.
Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time,
That's why I was sure they were.
life.
That's why I was sure they were getting destroyed then. But you're right. Yeah, it's a good point.
yeah, they would want to be able to have the stakes
I'm
of
glad they didn't get destroyed at the end.
I know.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been
Yeah.
it's a pisser.
Gamer 691.
Yeah.
Even the number Gamer 691. Yep, Aaron Paul.
But it gives their life meaning in the end because they they do have all the same sorts of
Yes,
stuff.
that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah. Any final thoughts?
It was my first reaction was seeing Jesse Plemons and I should know her name by now.
Kristen Milani?
Yeah, because they were both great in Fargo.
Yeah.
And
He was in Fargo too?
Yeah.
Yeah, season 2. He was the butcher.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my! Wow!
See,
I know that he was also in Breaking Bad with Aaron Paul.
It took me a second with our girl.
He was in the final season of Breaking Bad.
Because I was sitting there, I'm like, Colleen, I know this girl. She's like, Fargo. Season 2. I'm like, oh my god. And I like that she's always either in 70s hair or 60s hair.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a show, she's done plenty of shows where she gets to wear modern hair, but she looks right now.
How I Met Your Mother, she had modern hair.
Oh, well, there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
That's where I knew her most from, and also the short-lived NBC thing, the something to A to Z,
I liked that. Yes. I know
Yeah,
what
it's
you're
a shame
talking
that didn't get to. I thought that
about.
was
I
pretty
liked
funny.
that sitcom.
But yeah, Jesse Plemons, I kept thinking he looked
Yeah.
like Matt Damon at
Yeah.
the beginning of that
He
episode.
does.
And,
Yeah.
there's a difference. You can kind of go, oh, well, that's not him, but
Yeah.
I feel like you must get that a lot.
Probably.
Yeah, he's just like a shade off.
I feel like when they were younger, they looked quite different, but they've aged.
Well, I know Jesse Plemons used to be super skinny, and now he's
And
a bigger guy.
Yeah, he looked
Needs
quite
to skim
different
milk.
before.
A lot.
There you go. That's right.
The second time through, I caught that the intern made that kind of little, when he asked for the skim milk, he was like, oh, good call.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, they were great. And, it was. Like I said, wasn't technically a Star Trek episode, but there was enough there.
Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it as we did, and we'll be back on Thursday, as always, with another brand new It's All Been Tracked Before.
Yeah. We are not simulations. We are actually us.
Are you sure?
No.
You can never be sure. I still have my genitals, I think.
You better check.
Yep.
Okay.